Hi, Professor Moloff here. I get the opportunity to teach you how to do this assignment, the class roster assignment for management 2400 data analytics for business. So in this assignment, what this could be a typical class roster that we have here that somebody might get at the beginning of a semester. It'll have the name of the student on it, what grade level they are, or class, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, etc. What college they're actually in, the Woodbury School of Business or a different college, and what their major is. And, we have the abbreviation for major here. So what we're going to do in this assignment, as you can see right here, we have about 13 things we're going to do here. But what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this data that's here and turn it into some more usable information that we have. So the first thing that it asks us to do up here is it asks us to sort by last name and first name. So the first thing that we want to do is go ahead and click somewhere here on our table. Just make sure that any cell is highlighted there on our table. Go up here to the top, data tab here at the very top. Click on the data tab and go over here to the middle where it says sort, and we're going to sort this. Now if there's anything that's already there, go ahead and click the minus button like I just did. There might be something there already. Go ahead and click the minus button and clear out anything that might be there. The other thing that we need to do here is make sure that this box mark is checked, that my list has headers. If you don't check that box mark, what it's going to do is going to assume that your header, that you want to sort that with the rest of the sort. And in this case, we don't. We want to keep that up there. So click that. My list has headers. And now we can go ahead and click the plus button down here on the left side. Click. And it's asking us to sort by. And it's asking, okay, we have a column, sort on, what's the order or things. So under column here, we'll click this drop down button right here, and we want to sort. What we asked for was last name. If you notice, it has all the names of the headers in here. Okay, so ID, last name, first name, class. So we want to sort by last name, and we want it from A to Z. Okay, it's already chosen for this. But it says sort by last name and then by first name. So we're going to add a plus, add another level. So we're going to first sort by the last name, and then we'll sort by the first name. So what happens if somebody has the same last name, first name, then it will sort the last name and then their first name in alphabetical order. We can also change that, but for this assignment, we're going to sort this in alphabetical order, and we're going to click OK. And if you can see here now is it's sorted in alphabetical order. We have Amelia Andresen, who's a junior, followed by Mark Andresen, and if you notice, Mary Andresen, so it sorted it correctly in alphabetical order, by last name, then by first name. Okay. The next thing it asks us to do is insert a column, a new column A, and the reason why I do this is something that I do in almost all of my Excel spreadsheets. So you also have to be cautious when you go to upload this Excel spreadsheet into other files. I don't like having information directly to the left on the left side and here in column A. The reason why is spreadsheets are numbered at the top. All of our columns are a letter, and then all of our rows are numbered. I don't like, for example, here in row 5, my ID will be separate than row 5, and I don't like getting that mixed up. So I always do this. I'll just hit insert, and then I'll resize this just a little bit. And so my table is away from the numbering here on the left side, on the row numbering. Again, that's just something that I do. For this assignment, I want you to do it. The reason why is when we go here to name all of our ranges in here, and we have these, this is based on these columns and rows as if you had inserted a new column A. So if you don't insert a new column A, you'll have to follow along the video to make sure that you have the right ranges when we go to what's called naming a range. So the next thing we're going to do is create an ID. So go over here into ID, and one of the great things about Excel now, this wasn't this way at the beginning, is you can just type 1, 2, 3, and then I can highlight that, and then this little button here, you notice that square on the bottom right of this highlight. If I just hover over that and get my plus button and double click, it fills it all in down. So you see that we have 50 students in this course, in this class roster right here. The other thing that's great about Excel is, what if I did that as 2, 4, 6, and I highlight these 3 and I click the button here down, it will fill that in 2, 4, 6, 8. So it can see a pattern. If I do 5, 10, 15, and if I click down there, it'll fill that in. I have not tried the Fibonacci sequence in this, so I don't know if it'll continue out with the Fibonacci sequence. I'm not going to try it here on the video just in case it screws up really bad. But for this assignment, we want to do 1, 2, 3, highlight that, click the button here on the right, and fill in down. Now the other thing that's going on here is, just for aesthetic purposes, I read Excel files almost every day, and in business and when I present, I want it a little bit easier to read. I don't like that this has a right justification to it, so I'm going to go ahead and center that. That's not part of the assignment, and I'm also going to center where it says ID right there. That's not required in the assignment, but this is just the way I like it. So when we're viewing it, to me, it's easier to read where the 1 is right not up against Andreessen, and the 2 is I like to be able to see that. Okay. So for this assignment, 1, 2, 3, and fill down, and we've created an ID. We also know that there are 50 people in the class, okay, and that will be important for later on. The next thing we're going to do here is, it says insert a column into column E. So come up here to column, right click and click insert, and if you notice, it just expanded our table, and we are going to call this name. So we're going to just do name right there, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this last name and first name, we're going to combine it into here. Okay, and the formula that you use for that in Excel is Concatenate. It's actually it's a great formula, and it will take text and put it together. So when we're working in Excel, we should know that anytime we want to bring up a formula, we use the equals sign first, and if you can see, it's also up here in my formula bar, and so equal concatenate. We're going to start typing that in, concatenate, and it's going to ask me for my text, and we want to do last name, first name. So last name, and you don't have to go up there and do it in the function bar. You can do it in the cell. Okay, so the first text I'm bringing in is the last name, and every time we move, if you notice right here, it's highlighted. It's text 1. Then it shows us that we want a comma. So comma, and it's asking for text 2. In this case, I want the last name, comma, and then a space and their first name. And so I have to tell Excel that I want to do that. So in this case, I'm going to use the quotes. I have to use the quotes because I'm bringing in text. The text I'm bringing in is a comma, and then I want a space, and I want to close quote it. And now it's showing that my text 2 is done. If I want it done, I could do another comma, and it asks me for text 3 there. And in this case, I'm using Amelia, and I close parentheses and enter. And then the other is I have to adjust the size. I can do this manually right here by bringing my cursor between the E and the F on the column up here. Now, if I do that and I get this double arrow, if I double click, it will automatically resize it for me. So how I did that is I put my cursor between the E and the F columns up here at the top. Now you can right click and drag it, or while you have the double arrows right there with the black, you can double click and it will resize it. Okay. Now I'm going to show you this again. So in this case, I'm going to do equals, and it's concatenate. I'm going to bring up concatenate. My text in this case is Andresen, comma, and I'm going to show you what happens if I do the quote, comma, and I don't do the space bar, and comma, and then my other text, D6, enter. If you notice, I don't have a space between the mark and the Andresen. I just got this Andresen, comma, mark, and it's a lot nicer visually if there's a space. So what you can do is I can click on this mark Andresen. I can go up here to my function bar up here at the top. If you notice, the colors tell me what's going on. So I've got a C6, and then I've got text. And since it's text, it's not colored. I'm going to go in and add a space between my quotes after my comma, and then I've got my comma D6 and hit enter. Now here's something that's great about Excel is I can then fill this down. So there's several ways I can fill it down. I can grab this right here and fill down. So I grab that little square box down at the bottom. Okay. The other thing I can do is while I'm on that square box, if I turn that into a plus like we filled down before, I can double click and it fills down. And then I can come up here and also resize my column, and we're looking pretty good right here. Okay. So that was number 5. Use the function concatenate to create a last name, first name. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to name a range. Okay, and the reason why we're going to name ranges is especially like here, if I've got 50 files, and we're going to do some formulas, and those formulas ask me, what range do I want to use? As an example, we've shown this before, but we'll do it again. I can do the command down arrow in Mac or control down arrow in a PC. If I do command down arrow, we see that it goes to the bottom. If I do the command left, it goes to the far left side. If I do right, it goes to the right side of the table, and I can bring it back up to the top. So that's just me doing the command buttons and my arrows. Okay. If I'm here too, and I do shift command down, okay, it highlights everything in that column. Now, when we're naming ranges, we need to be careful that we don't always bring in the header, because I don't want to count the header in certain things, or I don't want it to bring that header in. So in this case, we're going to name some ranges. It says name a range from F5 to F54. So we're here in F5. This is under class. And shift command down. And then over here on the left side, on our function bar, I'm just going to scroll back up here to the top. We see here on our function bar, it says JR, because that's what I have in F5. Okay, and then it tells me where I'm at here, this F5 over here to the left of the function bar. Okay, so what I'm going to do, again, shift command down. I'm going to highlight this row. And then over here in my function bar where it says F5, because I have this row highlighted, I am just going to rename it class and just type in class. Enter. There's other ways to do this. We can go into our formulas, and we can go into what's called name manager. We'll talk more about that, or define a name. Okay. And it's also in there on Mac and PC both. But we can go up there, and on a PC it's formulas, name manager, and then define names. And on a Mac is formula, and we can just go up here and define names. And if you notice, I've got F5 through F54 highlighted, and what name do I want to give it? I can go ahead and here and type in class. Now I've already got it in there. So if I go to my name manager, if you notice I have class, and down here at the bottom it tells me it equals students. That's the tab I'm on, and it's from F5 through F54, and I'm on students. So if you ever have to need to make a change, I can actually come in here and change this right here, but it's the way I want it. So I'll do that again. So what we did right here is under class, under junior, I did shift command down or shift control down on a PC, highlighted that column, and I renamed it class. Enter. Okay. So, and then you can always check. I go to the name manager. There is that. My name manager is in the formulas bar. Okay. So we named our very first range, and I'll show you why we're doing that here in a little bit. The next is, so we named that class, is name a range P5 to Q9. So if we scroll over here to the right, we could do this in a table. You just don't have to do it in a single column. You can actually name a table. And in this case, we're going to name this table. And I don't want the headers. I just want the information. So I'll highlight econ and economics. And there's my, if you see, I highlighted my table here. Econ, finance, info system. So I made sure I got both columns. Highlighted my table. Okay. And now over here at the top on my function bar where it says econ P5, I can rename it there. Or I can go into formulas and hit define name, and it brings up, I got P5 to Q9, that's what, and I want to rename this. And what we're going to rename this is Abbrev Master, ABBREV underscore. So in naming ranges, you can't have a space. So our space is our underscore, so Abbrev Master, and click OK. And then I'll redo that. Okay. So what I did is I came over here into our formulas or into our table right here. I highlighted this area. You can see I have an Abbrev Master over here. So actually, let me back up out of there. Make sure that's gone. Okay. I'll have to rename my class here in just a second. But highlighted that. I can come here in my function bar on the left and I can name it there, or I can go into formula, define name, name manager, define name, and name it there. And in this case, I'm going to name it now here to the left, and it's Abbrev underscore master. Okay, and enter. And now I'll go back because I did too many back buttons. I will rename this. Shift command down, highlight that column, go here to the left side and rename that class. Okay, so again, I can go to define manager, and now I have two named ranges. Okay, the next thing it says here is name a range major abbreviation. So right here under our major, under column H, under major, it has the abbreviations of the majors. So I'm going to go shift command down or control command down if you're on a PC. And then I'll just go up here. Again, just to learn, we'll do formulas, define names. And what I want to rename that is major. And it's an abbreviation, Abbrev. Okay. And enter. Again, to do that simply, I also could have highlighted it and gone to the left of my function bar and named it there, which we'll do next. So now what it asks is to extend the table. So I'm going to bring this yellow and just bring it over here. It says to extend the table. And so right here next to major, I'm going to extend the table. I'm going to insert the name, just major full name. I want the full name of the major. And you can see that it went off of the cell. So again, if I come up between I and J and double click. Now, if you started typing it out and you didn't get the blue, okay, with the white lettering and the blue background, there's another way to do that. So I'll show you that. I can just go over here and click on major 1, and my little box that's down there, I can just grab it and bring it to the right, and it will extend that out with the same formatting. And again, I want to name this major full name. Okay. And then resize my cell. Okay. Now what we're going to do is a great function in Excel. We're actually going to use it on your next assignment too, on assignment number 3. This is assignment number 2. We're going to use it for assignment number 3, but it's called VLookup. And it allows you to look up information and bring it over. And so what we're going to do is we have right here in this table, we have the abbreviation, but we also over here in this table, we have what the abbreviation means. So PFP means personal financial planning, and you could type all that in right here, or you can just tell Excel, look for PFP, and then over here on the right, find that it means personal financial planning, and then put the name back here in major full name. That's what we're going to do, and that's called VLookup. So we're going to start a new function, equal VLookup, and we start typing it in, VLookup. Don't ask me why it's called VLookup. It probably means value lookup. And that's what it does. It says look up the value, and so we're going to tell it what value we want it to look up. We want it to look up PFP. So if you notice, one of the great things about Excel, when you do a formula and you type in the equals, it's asking you what is telling you what you need to do for the formula. So we did the VLookup, and it's saying, okay, what value do you want me to look up? Okay, so we're going to tell Excel we want it to look up what's in H5, PFP. That's our column 5. And once we've done that, we do our comma, and it's saying, okay, what table do you want me to look this up? And this is why we named that table. So that table we named Abbreviation Master. We're going to start typing that in, Abbreviation Master. And we click on that. It highlights here in green. Now we got to pay attention. We do our comma because we've told it this table. And now it's asking, and if you notice, it highlighted the table in red over here. It's asking what to do next. Okay. It's saying, okay, in the column index, which column of this index table do you want me to bring over? So if I look up PFP, what do you want me to bring over? And this is column 2. Okay. We want it to bring over column 2 because we have 2. PFP is in the column on the left. It's the first column. Column 2 is what we want it to bring over because we're looking up PFP. We want it to bring over column 2. And I do a comma. So it's asking my column index number as 2. And if you notice, now is asking me, do I want an approximate match or an exact match? In this case, I want it as an exact match. So that's going to be false. I'm going to click on false. It'll say false up there, exact match. And I can hit enter, or I can close the parentheses and enter, and you see that it brought over personal financial planning if we did it right. Now I just want to copy that all the way down, but I'll do that again. So we see, so the formula is equals VLookup. So I start typing that in, VLookup, highlight that. It's asking for the lookup value. I want, in this case, INFS. Comma, it's asking for my table. If I did that right, I named my table, Abbreviation Master. So Abbreviation Master, and I start typing it in. It brings it up here in green. My column index is I want it to bring over the second column of information, and I want an exact match. And we'll show you on assignment 3 what happens between exact match and approximate match, because the approximate is, okay, what if 2 of these things was personal financial planning and personal fitness? If we did approximate match, it would just, oh, this is personal and this is personal, just bringing over both. Okay, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, and false and enter, and it brought over information systems, and then I can copy this all the way down. Okay, and then I could go and adjust my column size. I did that because some of the information is wider. Now that we've done that, we want to, it says right here, name the range. So we just brought all of it over. Now we're going to name the range. So I'm going to put my highlight I5 and do Shift Command down, highlight my column, going to go over here and name the range, and the range that I want, what I want to name this, it tells us right here in the instruction, major full name, major underscore full name, enter. And I just named that range. Okay. Now, one of the things that we do in this class is each of these assignments build on each other, so you should get very comfortable with naming ranges. And if we've done it a few times in an assignment, you'll see that I'll go a little bit faster. One of the great things on the video is you can always pause this and go back. And I try to do it slow enough that everybody can keep up. But once we start doing things such as sorting and naming ranges now, you should get very comfortable doing a sort and a name range. We don't expect you to know all the formulas, but there are some formulas that you'll use a lot, like count, which we're getting ready to do, count if and count ifs, and those type of things. So you'll get comfortable using those. But one of the things here is, you should already now be hopefully comfortable with naming ranges, moving your cursor around in Excel, and a few type of those things. So in those, sometimes we'll just say name the range, and I won't go a whole lot over it, because this is the second assignment where we've named some ranges or used some name ranges, or it might be your first actually, but so far we've named now 4 ranges. Okay. The next thing we're going to do, it asks us here that we're going to build tables and see the video instructions. This is the video instructions. We're going to count the number of juniors and seniors. After that, we're going to count how many majors people in our class are taking each major, and then we're going to divide that out as to how many juniors and seniors are taking each major out there. So the first thing we're going to do over here is we're going to go over here into column K, and we're going to start building our new table. And I'm going to call this class and count. Now, if you notice, because I'm all on the same row, that Excel assumes I want the same format, which I do in this case, which is very nice. Excel didn't used to do that before, but now they do that. So I have all of this on the same row. But if that didn't work, you can come over here under like major full name or something and just do Command C or Control C, copy it and paste it over here, and then use your little cursor and copy that out. And I'm only doing this because it gives me the same formatting, or I can always go into my home screen and start formatting. We'll talk more about that later. And then I want this as class and this as count. Okay. And we could keep it the same there. So class and count. And what I have is I have juniors and seniors. Now, I want to make sure I'm doing some of this correctly. So let me come back over here, and I'm in my table right here, and we're going to go into, I have it on my main screen on sort and filter there. I'm not going to sort and filter this. I'm going to go to data, and I want filter. Okay, so what I did is my home screen and data and filter, and if this doesn't come up, it may be because you might have to widen the size on your Excel, to go full screen on your computer. And you'll see as you'll do that, what happens is more and more shortcut keys either widen or close on there. But I'm going to click filter, and it says it can't be applied because my cell is in no section. So I'm going to come over here and just highlight a cell inside my table, and now I'll click filter. And if you notice, I now have all these little drop downs buttons next to the names in my table. And I'm going to go here to class and click the drop down, and I can see that I have just juniors and seniors. They're not spelled differently. The other thing I can do is I can unselect this. I could choose juniors and click apply filter. And what I've got now is I've got just all the juniors, so it filtered it all out. Okay, and if you notice down here in the bottom left, it says ready and number of records or records found 18 of 50. I want you to notice that because we'll see if we get the right answer when we do our count, because it shows me right here. It also might be on the right depending if on a PC or Mac, but down here at the bottom it shows 18 of 50 records found. And now I just want to clear this filter. So what I did is go back up here, filter, clear filter, and it gave me my back to my whole table. But the reason why I'm doing this is I just want to make sure I just have junior and senior in this case. I can X out of there. So junior and senior, and now I'm going to do a count. I'm going to count the number of juniors, and I'm going to count the number of seniors. And I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. We're going to use the same formula, but I'm going to show you two different ways, and the formula is count if. So equals count if. I can start typing it. Equals count if comes up. It's asking for my range. Well, I named that range class. So I'll start typing in class and click on it. And now it's asking for my criteria. And there's two ways I can do the criteria. I do a comma, and then now it's asking me for my criteria. And I can just tell it to look up juniors. And how I would do that is I would use my quotes, because we're looking up text, and I would type in my text. So I'm looking up count. My criteria is junior, JR, and I hit enter. If you notice, it highlighted my column that I'm telling it to look up, and junior, hit return, and it brings me back 18. Now we already know that 18 is correct because we did that in our filter. I showed you how to do that in the filter. And so it brought back 18. Now I'm going to show you the other way you can do this. So in this case, what we did is I just typed in junior, and I can go back here and highlight my cell, and you can see up here in my function bar, it shows counting, just as junior up there. And sorry, I clicked out of there. Now let me go here into senior and count, and we're going to do this again. Count if. We're going to bring up the count if. My range is class. Okay. And this time my criteria, comma, is I'm going to bring over just senior. Now, before we do that, I'm going to show you a mistake that I'm going to make on purpose. Let me escape out of here. And I'm over here. And let's say I'm typing in senior, SR, senior, and I accidentally hit the space button or something like that before I hit enter. Now, I'll go do my count. So equals count if. My range is class. My criteria is I'm just going to come over here and highlight senior and hit enter, and it is 0. Wait, you're telling me I don't have any seniors in my class? Yeah, over here in my file it says seniors class. Well, the problem is because I have a space in here, it's looking up senior SR space, and these may not have a space in it. So that's some of the things we got to look at. We're going to show you how to correct that in some later videos. But in this case, an easy way for me to correct it, because I know that's the mistake, is I'll just come over here, highlight my cell, go up to my function bar. Oh, look, my cursor is one space over. I'll hit delete, and notice what happens when I do that. It brings up my count of 32. Okay, so I'm going to do this again, but showing you how to do it right now. There shouldn't be any of those mistakes in this data file unless it's user error. So again, the formula is equal count if. My range is class. My range is class. I got to bring that up and actually click on it. My criteria, I'm going to do seniors, K6, and enter. Okay. The other thing we're going to do is I do what I'm getting ready to show you. I do this on almost all of my Excel spreadsheets. And the reason I do it is I need to verify that my information is correct. So I'm going to do a total right here, and I'm going to sum this. The easiest way to sum it is I can come down and highlight those, and then my blank cell, go to my home screen. It's also on formulas. You'll have this auto sum on formulas, this big backwards E. You can go to formulas and just hit auto sum. On sum, it will also be on your home screen. To the right, you have an auto sum because that feature is used a lot. So I can go to formulas, auto sum, and it tells me I have 50 records. And I know that's correct because if I scroll down here to the bottom, I know that I have 50 students. So I did this right. The other is for aesthetic reasons and formatting reasons and also accounting reasons. I'm going to highlight my total and my 50, and I'm going to add a top and bottom border. And how you do that is go to the home screen with this highlighted, and this section right here is your formatting section. Is telling me what I'm using on by way of font size. I can increase or decrease font size. I can bold it. Over here is my borders, and I'm going to click down. I want to use my top and bottom border, so I come over here to borders, do the drop down and choose top and bottom border. Click on that. Now you can't necessarily see it because it's highlighted. Now let me move my cursor, and now we have a nice looking table right there where I can very easily see the information from the data. Okay, so the information is in this class roster. There's 18 juniors, 32 seniors, 50 total students. Okay, well, we just did this on counting juniors and seniors. The next is we are going to count majors. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy over my class and count, because if I just start typing it right here, I'm not on the same row or anything, and I'm going to type in major, and I'm going to do count. If you notice, it's not formatted the way I want. Now I can go in here and start formatting this. Okay, I can do a fill button here and try to use the same blue, and then I've got to do white on my there, and as you notice, it's not the exact same blue. So just for aesthetic reasons, I'm going to come here and do Command C. I'm going to copy that, Command V down there. Okay, and then I'm just going to change this to major, and now my formatting is the same. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to copy over. I can start typing in personal financial planning and info systems and all that, but what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste it here. But I'm going to show you a problem. Let me put my cursor over I5, and if you notice, when I put my cursor over I5, in my formula bar, it doesn't say personal financial planning. It says my formula. Okay, so if I go and copy this over, okay, if I do Command C and then Command V, or Control C, Control V, depending if you're a Mac or PC, I get this NA, not applicable, because it's trying to copy a formula over there that doesn't quite work. Now, that's fine for now, and that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring over and highlight this entire, so Shift Command down. We want to highlight the entire thing. We're going to do Command or Control C, which is copy. Command C or Control C. We're going to go over here under K11, under major where we have it, and Command Control V. And if you notice, it has all these NAs, and I get this warning over here that says a value is not available to the formula or function. And I also have this clipboard, which is my paste options, also underneath my home button over here on the left side. Because I did that paste, I have this paste option over here, right underneath the home button on the left side. I can click the drop down, and I just want it to paste the values. So I can do that here, okay, on the sheet, paste values, or I can go up here while it's still highlighted, okay, and do paste values up here. So we're going to paste the values, and you see that it just brought over the names now. Okay, and I'm going to resize mine so that it's not going over into the other cell. Now, unfortunately, I resized it and I got out of there. I'm going to do Shift Command down and highlight that column, because I don't need, because if I do this, it's just going to count all these. I only need what majors are available, so I want to remove the duplicates. And to remove the duplicates, okay, when this is highlighted, you go up here to the Data tab, and depending upon how your PC or your Mac and the width of your table is in your Excel is it will say remove duplicates on it, or it's hard to find. But right next to text to columns, so we have our sort and filter. Text to columns is you have this button right here that has the blue and then the white and then the blue, and so with an X, if you hover over it, it says remove duplicates, and that's what we want to do. We want to remove any of the duplicates, and so expand the selection. We don't. We can do the current selection, remove duplicates, and it says my list doesn't have headers in that case. I'm not doing it, and click OK, and there we go. So we see that we have this here. So I'll do that again from the very beginning. Let me just delete that out. So what came here is I went to major full name, shift command or shift control down, highlighted that, command C or control C for copy, command V for paste. When I pasted it, I didn't have it. I need to do my values, go in here on the clipboard, do the drop down, paste values. Now while it's up there, if I'm on my home screen or other, I'll click data, go here to the right of text to columns, hover over there, it says remove duplicates. I remove duplicates. I can expand the section, it's okay. So remove duplicates. My list has headers. Okay, so either way. So right there, personal financial planning, information systems. And we can also go into this, highlight this, and now sort it. Highlight, we can sort it. Current section, sort. And I have to unclick it because I'm not including my header in that. Okay, so what it did is if I chose it, it would choose. If I hit my list has headers, it would assume that personal financial planning was a header. I don't want it to be, so I'm sorting this in column K and click OK, and now it's economics, finance, info, personal financial planning, and university studies. Okay, if I highlighted this whole thing and hit sort, I would then choose that my list has headers, and so now it would do that. Okay, so there's where we at. Now we're going to do a count just like we did the count before. We're going to do equals count if. Our range this time is major full name. Okay. And my criteria, comma, over here is I'm going to do economics and enter. Okay. Now I want you to notice something. We can go ahead and do the drop down on this, and I'm going to click on this one underneath the economics count 6. I'm going to do this. If you notice, what happens is when I pull it down, it goes from economics to finance to information system, because I can hover over my count and see what my formula is pointing to. So we can see that major full name is blue and my K13 is information systems. We'll show you some of this here in a little bit, but if I'm not careful when I do my drop down, when I copy this down, what happens when you copy it down, it looks at the next cell, so it's going, okay, we're at this cell on this row, now we're going to go to this row, and then we're going to go to this row and this row. And if we do that wrong, sometimes when we do that wrong, what happens is it starts counting things off of our table or other places, and I'm going to show you that here in a minute. But again, we're going to do a totals. We want to make sure we got it right. I'm going to highlight that. Okay, you can go up here to formulas and hit auto sum or home your auto sum, and we have 50 records, and then I'm going to format that, and I already have on my formatting, my top and bottom borders already chosen, so I'm just going to click, and now I've made a really nice, again, a nice new table. Now the last thing we're going to do, if we look over here in our assignment, it says then create a table splitting out major by whether the student is a junior and or a senior, So I'm going to come over here, and this is now major. But what I'll do here, let me come up here. We'll copy that, paste it down there because I all want the same colors. I'll pull it out 2 more. We got major, this is junior, this is senior, and this is total. Okay. That's how we want our table to look. I will just copy these over from economics, finance, Command C, Command V. Okay. And now in this count, instead of doing a count if, we're doing a count ifs, because we're asking it to look at 2 different things. We're not just counting the number of majors, we're counting the number of majors who are also juniors. So how many juniors are taking this major? So we got to count, are they a junior taking this major? And so that formula is count ifs. So let's start with our count ifs with an S. And now it's a little bit different than before, but so it's asking our criteria range. Our first criteria range on this could be our major full name. So major full name. Our criteria in this case is economics. We can click there on economics, comma. Our criteria range 2. Now it says, okay, first we're going to look up what the major is. So they've got to be in economics. Our criteria range 2 is class. We're going to look up class. And what are we going to look up in that class? We're going to look up juniors. And there's 2 ways I can do it. And I'm going to show you both ways. I can type in junior, so parentheses, junior, close parentheses, and then hit enter because I'm done with that formula. It tells me that I have 4 juniors in economics class. Okay. Now I'm going to show you another way to do that with finance. So equals count if. I'm going to bring in count ifs. My criteria range is the same, major full name. Okay. Comma. And I'm going to choose finance, comma, and now I'm going to show you what happens if we do it a different way, which is fine. Criteria range 2 is class, and now comma, and I'm just going to come up here and highlight junior, okay, because I don't want to type it in. I want it to look up junior, and I close my parentheses and hit enter, and we see that we have 7 in finance. Now let me show you what happens if I copy that down. If I copy that down, it now says 0, 0, 0. Okay. Here's why. Let me hover over Information Systems, Junior, where it says 0, and put my cursor there, and it brings up my formula. Now, what's great about this is the color coding in this, in Excel, tells you where it's pointing to. So I see that I have got count ifs. My major full name is blue. Okay, so that's right. My K22 red. Okay, so I'm bringing up major full name as information systems. And then comma. Okay, we're going to look up class as my second range. Comma. Now, but look what it's looking. L20 is now not where junior is. It's dropped down 1. So by copying the formula down, if a row or cell was not locked, okay, it copies down with it. Well, I wanted it to do that with the major full name. I wanted it to go from finance to information systems, which it did, okay, when I copied it down. But it also copied class. So it went from junior to 4. I didn't want it to look up 4. I wanted to look up junior. So we need to what's called lock a cell. Now, in the modules under Excel resources, above module 1 is a little short video that talks about locking cells. So we can look that up. But how to lock a cell is you can lock the column, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, through J. In this case is column L. And the cell, the row is the number. So you can lock a column and a row, a column or a row, or both. And in this case, we want to lock both. but I don't want it to point to L20, so I can always grab it and pull it up to L19. Okay, or I can type it in. So we'll delete these out, and I will type it in. Okay, so equals count ifs. Count ifs. My criteria range on the first one was major full name. I'll type in major full name, comma, we want, in this case, information systems, comma, my criteria range is class. My criteria range is class. It'll bring it up. Okay, comma, and I want to point it to junior, but I want to lock this cell. So as soon as I do that, in Excel, on a quick function, and you will use this, on a PC it's Control T, on a Mac is Command T, do Command T, or sorry, PC Control F4, Command T. And if you notice when I do Command T while that's lit up, it gives me a $ in front of the L and a $ in front of the 19. Okay. The other thing is I can always type that in, $L, $19, because that's where I want it to go to. And you see it turned green. And if I now hit enter, what it did is it locked that cell. So now when I copy it down, we see we got 47313. And if I go on my one and double click and brings up my formula, it shows that it's personal financial planning red, junior, because it locked that cell. Okay. Now again, if I can copy things to the up and down, I can also copy them left and right. Okay, because this cell is not locked and I copy it to the right, it'll bring up seniors, but it's 0 because it copied my major full name from economics over to the right. Now I don't want to confuse everybody. You'll get into doing that. So what we'll do is we'll do equals count ifs. Criteria range is major full name. Our first criteria is economics, comma. Our criteria range 2 is class. We'll bring in class, comma. And then we're going to point to senior up here and Command T or Control F4 or F4 on a PC, where you get both $, $M, $19, hit enter. And now we can copy that down. And that's correct. If your numbers are different than mine, something is off. Your numbers should be the exact same as mine. And now we're going to do totals. We're going to total both the columns and the rows. So I can come down here and do my auto sum. Again, how I did that was highlighted. I went to my home screen. I have auto sum up there, or if I need to, I can go to formulas and auto sum. And you can also do that to the right. Okay, because we want to. And now that I've summed that one, I can double click and it's going to sum these rows. And now if I do a total on sum, I should have 50. So how I did that, the last thing here, I just delete all that, is I can also use the formula sum. I can do equals sum, and it's asking what are my numbers, and I can highlight these numbers and do return, and it gives me 18. Or I can highlight these with my open space, go to my formulas and hit auto sum, and then I also want to sum each of these, and I can do equals sum. And it's asking for my ranges, and I want these two, enter, and then I can copy that down, or I can do my equal, or I can just do, I can copy these over here, highlight them, sorry, not copy, highlight them, and do my sum there, and then just copy this down, if it'll let me, and then I also want to sum this. Okay, I want to sum my totals to make sure I have my 50, and then do my formatting. Okay, so we've done all of these 1 through 13. Yours should look just like mine. So when we go to grade it and look at it, I make sure yours looks just like mine. Also go in and make sure that you're using formulas and not just looking at my screen and typing in numbers on there too, because we want you to learn how to do it. Now, the very last thing is go ahead and save this, rename the file, go up to the very top, click on Excel, click on Save As, okay. And mine's being slow, and add your name under S2, so Moloff Andrew, okay, and class roster, and click Save, and then wherever you have saved that to, go ahead and then upload that to Canvas, and you've just completed your second assignment. And excellent, very good job. So thank you very much, and you can see as how we're starting to turn data into information, and hopefully you're starting to see the power of Excel on this. But very good job. Thank you.